Hello, lovely people, and welcome back to the Almita Made channel. My name is Alma, and I'm here to talk about all things making, mainly sewing, but every now and then another craft shows up. Today, it's going to be mainly about sewing, though, I'm pretty sure. So this week, I would like to do a little roundup about Me Made May, because that's basically pretty much over. So I thought it'd be interesting to look back at what I did this month and what I wore. And then I also want to talk to you about my latest make. I just can't wait for a recent makes vlog where I show you multiple things. I'm just too excited about this one, so I want to talk to you about it. But first, let me tell you what I'm wearing, which is the Ella blouse by Sew Over It, made in a gorgeous I think it's called sand washed viscose or something like that from Sew Me Sunshine. It's part of the usual range, and they have it in lots of different colors. I will link to it below if I find it. It's something like sand washed viscose. The feel of it is just divine. It does crease quite a bit, which isn't ideal for a wrap blouse, but I almost don't care because it's so beautiful and it catches the light really beautifully. It's really nice against the skin. I would highly recommend the fabric, and the pattern is a very easy, straightforward one. It's cropped, so it's waisted. There you go. I've got it on with some high-waisted bob pants that I mentioned last vlog, actually. And I am very happy with where it hits because I wear it with high-waisted bottoms, but also I wear it very often on top of a waisted dress as a little extra layer if you don't want a full jacket. This I just shove in my bag, and yes, it gets creased, and I'm okay with that. I don't care because it's just such an easy, light extra layer to take with you, and I do that quite a lot as the weather warms up. I just always like to have an extra little layer just in case. I don't want to be cold. But yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today, but not for long because I'm going to move on to my most recent make. And I thought I would show it to you in detail on the inside as well, scoop, and then I will put it on because I think it's such a pretty make. I'm very proud of it. It's come out really neat, so I really wanted to show it to you up close, basically. So what is it, you ask? If you follow me on Instagram, you probably have seen it because I did wear it for one of the Me Made May But Make It Weird prompts. But it is the Quinn vest. Ah. It's a little teeny tiny garment that has made me so happy. I can't even explain to you. Okay, so if you watch my last plans vlog, which I'll link to below, you will have heard me talk about the plan to make this waistcoat. I would call this a waistcoat, especially because of this at the back, but it is called a vest. The pattern is a vest. But this little thing is so waistcoaty, isn't it? Wouldn't you agree? Anyway, I was looking for a waistcoat pattern for a while to make a matching waistcoat and trouser set for this summer, and out came True Bias with the Quinn vest and dress. More on that previous vlog. But so I bought the pattern pretty much the second it came out. I got so excited, and then I started seeing people's versions, got incredibly excited because everyone looked amazing in it. And what I decided to do, I had quite a bit of this fabric, and so I decided not to toile it, which I would say don't do that, but sometimes I think it's okay. First of all, this pattern doesn't take much fabric. I knew that should things go terribly wrong, I had plenty of fabric to cut it all out again. So that's my first caveat, because I would normally really encourage people to toile, but this one I was just excited. I wanted to get going. It seemed like it wasn't too complicated, so I wouldn't have wasted too much time had it all gone terribly wrong, if that makes sense. I had enough fabric to cut it all over again, had it all gone wrong. And crucially, the pattern features princess seams, which in my experience from making previously princess, oh my goodness, From previously making princess themed garments, I have found that I quite like to adjust as I go because of the way that the seams fall on the bust, especially. I find it easier rather than trying to adjust on paper like I usually do on a darted pattern, for example. I do like to do my adjustments before I go. Because this is princess themed, I thought I can sew it up quickly and take in or take out anything that needs doing. And I thought I'll just dive in and adjust as I go and see how I get on. So in order to do that, and I would recommend this method if you're inclined to make the Quinn vest and the dress. So this was actually my very first True Bias experience. I've never used one of their patterns and I am so impressed. First of all, I love the design. Beautiful, exactly what I was looking for. Second of all, I really, really liked the instructions. One thing, and this is why you have to read the instructions before you get going, and I usually do, I scan through them, and now I always look for the seam allowance because different companies have different seam allowances. So I work at Sew Over It. The majority of patterns I sew are Sew Over It, where the seam allowance is 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch, roughly. And so that's my go-to in my head, like that's what I aim for. Then I do sew a few Friday Pattern Company patterns and they do a 1 centimeter seam allowance. So I know that if I'm doing one of those, I need to switch. I do check every time, but like those are my two kind of standard ones. Now I opened the True Bias pattern and it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance. What? That shook me up. Never get complacent. 1/2 inch I've never seen. So that was interesting. And I'm very glad that I checked through the instructions before I started, so I didn't mess that up. So really impressed with the way the instructions are all laid out. It does tell you to basically you start constructing the in my case vest, but it is also a dress, but from now on I'll talk about it as a vest. You start constructing the princess seams at the front and the back, and the instructions tell you to finish those seams as you go, which makes complete sense, of course. Now, one of the suggestions or some of the pictures that I've seen, they finished those seams with bound seams. So by binding the seams, the raw edges of the seam with pretty bias binding. I did say I wasn't quite sure I was going to do that. And yeah, as I started working on it, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not doing that. So I decided I was just going to overlock the seam allowances and then sort of, I guess it's flat fell seaming. So you top stitch on top just to secure it. And so because I was going to do that, but I wanted to check the fit first, I decided to start sewing the vest without finishing any of the seam allowances yet. So hear me out. It will all make sense, and I would recommend you do this if you want to skip the toile but check the fit as you go. So what I did is I constructed the front and side, and then the back and sides. The back has a seam down the middle as well. Constructed all of that, didn't finish any seam allowances. Then I just basted. I didn't worry about the facing yet. I started constructing it, but I didn't sew it on yet. I didn't worry about that. I started to, I basted the shoulders, which is until way later on in the instructions. So I just skipped ahead, just basted, which means, it's a temporary stitch. So much longer stitch length. You could even do it in a different color if you wanted, just so it's easy to unpick later. So just a quick basting of the shoulders and a quick basting of the side seams. At this point, with no seams finished, I put this little vest on and the sewing gods were smiling on me because it fit like a dream. I can't explain to you how happy I was. Because I've never used these patterns before from True Bias, I really was not expecting something to fit like that. And it did. And I feel extremely lucky. So thank you, True Bias. And so someone might see that as maybe a waste of time that I constructed it like that rather than carrying through. But I bet you had I done all the steps to finish all the seams, the fit would not have been good. And by the time I tried it on, I would have been disappointed, and I would have wanted to change something, and I couldn't go back because I'd finished the seams already. So I'm glad I did it my way. And okay, so I tested the fit, was so happy, at which point I undid the shoulder seams, I undid the side seams, and I went back and I finished all my seam allowances to make it pretty. And yes, let me show you. So the princess seams, you trim down the seam allowances and what do you call it, and snip and notch the curves so everything lays nicely, and then I overlocked it. You can barely see it because it's all pink thread and pink overlocking thread, and then it's top stitched. I'm really pleased, by the way. You can barely see the thread, so I ummed and ahed about the color of thread to use because there is some top stitching involved, and I was trying to find something like this oatmeal, like the base color, and of course I don't have oatmeal. I just have white and no other shades, pretty much, of that variety. So I looked through my pinks, which I have about 4 different pinks, and one of them completely disappears in it. I was very, very chuffed. So anyway, went back and finished all of those. The back I decided to do in a different way, and this is simply because I like the symmetry of it. So with the back, the instructions suggest to also finish the seam allowances together and go to one side and top stitch. Because it's the center back, I decided to finish the seam allowances individually and press it open. And that's more pleasing to me. That is completely personal preference, to be honest. It's just a me thing, but I prefer it. Then I went on to construct the vest, which comes together honestly really, really beautifully. This is the facing that you can see, very nice and sturdy, which makes the vest lie really beautifully on the body, I think. And also, of course, it helps as a stabilizer to put the buttons and buttonholes that went fine, thank goodness, because I have a bad history with buttonholes. But touch wood, my current machine, which is a FAF Passport 2.0, behaves very well with buttons so far. Don't want to jinx it though. And then you are told to finish, yes, the neckline and the armholes are finished with bias binding. So if you're using a fabric that isn't too heavy, you can use the same fabric to make the bias binding. Mine is a linen, it's quite sturdy, it's Curtains fabric, which you can find out more about in my previous vlog. But so I decided to use a cotton lawn instead, much, much lighter, and it's left over from my Lillian blouse that I made and I shared a few vlogs ago. I'll link to that as well. But it's really pretty Liberties Tana lawn. Very soft, very pretty. You can see it better here, which is the hem facing. And I just like that contrast. So I've talked about this fabric maybe being too pretty for me, which sounds silly, but I really like it as a contrast to something quite classy like a striped linen. I like that pop of color. So yeah, it's worked really well for me in that sense. So you bind the armholes and the neckline. In the instructions, you're meant to leave the bias binding you only fold it once to the inside. So it should be much wider. If you see their pictures, you'll notice. I could not get it to lie flat at all, because these are all curves, obviously, around the neckline and the sleeve and the armhole. And maybe it's how I cut my bias binding. It very much could be, but I could not get it to lie flat and nicely along these curves. So what I did is I folded the folded edge under once more, so that now I've got a much narrower bias binding that kind of settled along the curves much better, and there's no rippling. It's all very flat and beautiful from the outside and on the inside as well, peeking through with those little flowers. So a tip, if you're struggling to get the bias binding to lie flat, it might just be that I did it wrong. It's very possible. But if you have the same issue, I would recommend doing this, because you don't have to cut anything extra, you don't have to do anything extra, you just tuck in the edge once more so that you've got basically half the width to deal with, something like that. And then, yes, I think the final thing, or before the buttons, you do the hem facing, which is so nice. I love that it's quite chunky all along there. Very nice. It's also interfaced, so it's got a bit of weight. Again, it all helps the vest to sit on you very, very beautifully, I think. And I also added, this. I just used the slider, a bag slider, which I'll link to below. I've got a link to Amazon with all those, where I get all these things. I don't know if that's correct, but I think it's the same thing, and it was the right width. So it's just the slider that I put the little waistcoat tie in. I might shorten that longer one because it flaps around a little bit too much for my liking, but for now it's fine. The only extra little bits that I put were a little label that says Summer Lovin'. I might put a picture up because it's not quite showing. And then I just added some of these brass strap guards, catchers, whatever you want to call them, in the shoulders. It's just a bit of ribbon, velvet ribbon, which sounds very, very fancy, but it's what I had on hand, with a popper, so that you can put your strap, your brass strap, through there so it doesn't show too much. My straps do tend to fall all the time. I think it's sloping shoulders, probably, something like that. But yes, so it's something that annoys me a lot. So this should keep it all in place. I'm just going to put this on so you can see how it looks now that you've seen how it looks on the inside. Here it is. I'm just going to hold the mic for a minute like a real influencer. I don't know why they hold it. It's got a clip, but I just want to show you the fit without the interruption of the mic, like this little tail here. But yes, extremely happy with the fit of this little Quinn vest. Those peaks here, that makes me so happy. It's really nice. And yeah, you can see, hopefully, that's my bra strap. Can you see it? I don't know. Hopefully not. That's the whole point, isn't it? But yeah, there's the bra strap, but it's being held in place by those little bars of ribbon that I put in. So extremely pleased with this make, to be honest. It's gone it went very well, much better than expected. I was expecting to have to work at the fit a lot more, but I'm super happy. And I do probably want to make more than one, and probably the dress as well in autumn to wear as a pinafore on top of other things, as long as I can add some pockets to the dress. That's a problem for future Alma to deal with. The one thing I didn't talk about is the buttons. They are sort of mother of pearl. Do they shimmer and shine on screen? Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, I just had them in my stash. They're very pretty, and I wanted something that looked quite classy with the linen. It's very unlike me, this kind of muted striped linen, but I'm very, very happy with the result, and I can't wait to make the matching trousers, which are yet to be determined. I have twirled one possible pattern, but yeah, more on that at a future date. But very, very happy with the little Quinn vest. I would absolutely recommend this pattern. Now, this is one of the outfits that I wore for Me Made May But Make It Weird. The prompt was something like, you're trying but not trying for brunch. I love the prompts. If you want to know more about what I'm talking about, have a look at my vlog about Me Made May But Make It Weird and why I'm doing it and how I'm doing it. But I thought a little linen vest is like, I just threw it on, but actually it feels really special. So I thought it fit the brief. And to be honest, I wanted it to fit a brief because I wanted to share this vest. But yes, now that the month is pretty much over, I want to look back at how I enjoyed Me Made May, and I really, really did enjoy it. And I'm so grateful again to Alice. I'll put her handle on screen, but she came up with Me Made But Make It Weird. And I'm really grateful that she did. I'm really grateful that I found the post where she talked about it and that I followed it. I'm very glad that I didn't make myself do it every single day, because some of the prompts I couldn't instantly think of an outfit that could work. Others I had to work a little bit harder at, but eventually I could put my finger on what the outfit was going to be. But some I just had to let go, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I didn't set out to do every single day. So I'm glad that I sort of gave myself the permission to join in with something that didn't have to be every single day, because sometimes all the pressure is literally just coming from yourself. So there's no need to do that. I just did it when it made sense and when I liked it. Then something I have mentioned already, I did film some things in advance. So for example, I filmed already the last day, even though it's not happened yet if you're watching the vlog when it's coming out. But I know what I'm going to be wearing for that, because I just wanted it to make it less stressful for myself again. And because it wasn't a classic Me Made May. So when I've done Me Made May in the past, I've never pre-recorded anything. I did it on the day. This is what I'm wearing, because it was all about making good use of your wardrobe and documenting what you're actually wearing. This time, Me Made May But Make It Weird was about the fantasy and creating characters. So it was a completely different exercise in my eyes. So I did think, you know, on a day when you're having a good hair day, film a few and then they're out of the way, and you know, you'll be happy with the hair. Very important. And Roy's disapproving in the background. He's waffing. He does sound like we were saying this the other day. Sometimes he sounds like a man in parliament or something who's really like very much disagreeing, and then he shouts. So yes, those two things, allowing myself to not have to do it every day and pre-recording some reels, definitely helped me to enjoy it and not stress out about the way that I was taking part in Me Made May. So those were great. Then something that has to be said is that I wore clothes that I wouldn't necessarily have worn of a normal day because of the challenge. So some things were quite dressy, and that's great, because those clothes I use way less than other clothes, because I've made them maybe for a special occasion and I love wearing them, but I don't have much of a chance to wear them. And don't get me wrong, I do tend to use even my fanciest clothes. I try to casual them down and wear them in a normal setting, but it'll still be like if we're going out for a date night or something, you know, even if it's not that fancy, I will still dress up, and that's great. But I wouldn't have worn my newspaper dress, for example, my Carrie Bradshaw newspaper dress. I probably wouldn't have worn it, and definitely not like that with proper heels and stuff on a random weekday, you know. So the challenge gave me an excuse to get those clothes out and celebrate them, which was great. And I have been thinking about something, and this has come out also because I've been watching it's not a great show, but it's quite an interesting show on Amazon, I think. It's called Wear Whatever the F You Want. And it's from the same people who used to do What Not to Wear. So very similar to Trini and Susanna, I guess, here in the UK, which I caught just the end of, I think, from when I moved here 20 years ago. But yes, basically it's these two stylists, I think, and they help people find their style and things like that. And it's fine. It's not amazing, but it's interesting enough. I'm interested in clothes and all of that. But they do talk about the power of what you wear. And I do think that there's a lot of people, I know a lot of people who think that caring about what you wear is superficial and, you know, it's not an important part of life. And it's maybe a little bit frivolous to care about what you wear. And that really upsets me when I hear that opinion, because I think, and they do say that in this show that I mentioned, clothes have an enormous power on how you feel, on your mood, on other people's moods. And that's something I find a lot. When I wear something colorful, people smile at me on the street, maybe because they think I'm cuckoo, but I've still made them smile. I think that's powerful. And I have not, to be completely honest with you, I have not been having a good May. Nothing huge, but it's not been a good month. Definitely not a good month in terms of mental health at all. And having an excuse through Me Made May, through Me Made May But Make It Weird, through the clothes that I've created over the years, having an excuse to get them all out and play with them and play dress up, because that's what it was. Play dress up and put on these fanciful characters that the prompts from Alice inspired. That helped beyond what you can imagine, because focusing on that for a little bit of the day just made me giggle. It made me smile. It made my creative juices go, because I had to put together the outfit. I had to come up with a little story for what I was filming. I know they're like 10-second reels or whatever, but it's still like, you know, I saw it as a little production. It's like, okay, Alma, you're starring and directing and producing now, and obviously costume. But it was like a little project that gave me such a burst of, this is going to sound exaggerated, but accomplishment. It just made me feel like, oh, I did that, and I did it well, and I did it how I wanted to do it, and it came together, and that made me very happy. That, I think, is invaluable if you're not having a great time. I'm going to get emotional, which seems so silly, but I do really, really believe that what you put on yourself, the clothes you wear, and this is in general, the clothes you wear can really pick you up in terms of mental health. But if you've made those clothes, that is like turned up to 100, you know, because yeah, I got out clothes that I hadn't worn in a while, and I put them on, and every time I just go like, wow, I made that. Like, that's big. That's a lot. And if you've done that, there's a lot more you can do. So yes, not to get soppy, but this playing with clothes actually made my May a lot better than it had set out to be. Okay, I think that is a fair claim. And clothes are powerful, color is powerful, prints are powerful. And I would really recommend that if you're having a bad day and you're really struggling to get yourself up and going, I think putting on an outfit that you've hopefully made, if you're watching and you're a maker, but if not, an outfit that you've bought and found and it's given you such joy at the time of buying, and every time you wear it, you know, you feel something positive, then please do that, because I promise you, you will not feel worse. I can definitely promise you that. You will not feel worse if you're putting on a good outfit. Okay? And that is my little thought of the week on the importance of style and clothes. And I don't think it's silly. I really don't. I think it's very important. So there we go. So that's a definite positive. I think we can all agree that came out of memademay. And I think it can, even if you didn't do the Make It Weird version, just keeping track of the fact that you are wearing a lot of memades and you are maybe finding out what works and what doesn't for you. That's all useful, and it reminds you that you can make all these things, and you could make more of the ones that you really like to wear, and so on and so forth. Anyway, a very big month has just gone by. The other thing that I have mentioned before in the previous vlog about memademay but make it weird, I'm getting good at saying that fast, is that I put together certain outfits with separates, say, that I would not perhaps have paired normally, and now I found new combinations that can definitely work. They didn't just serve a purpose for the prompt on the day, they will actually be appearing, rotating in my wardrobe, I think, which is great. And then I also realized that certain pieces in my wardrobe have a lot of character. One example is my needle cord Winona jumpsuit from Sew Over It. So I've made 4 of that pattern. I clearly love it. And I wore all of them throughout the month. I'm pretty sure I wore all 4 Winonas throughout the month. But I did wear the needle cord one twice. And I think it's because the print is evocative of something else. So I wore it to dress up as a 70s interior design mood board, which I thought just suited that fabric so perfectly. It was the needle cord of it all, the floral of it all, the orange of it all. It was just perfection. And then the other one, I layered it a lot with lots of other things for the prompt was something like you're getting ready to rehome a velvet sofa, something like that. So yeah, I just thought it's interesting that that piece kind of gave me a certain idea of someone that would wear it. I love that. And then other things, one that I really struggled with, and then I'm happy with the solution I came up with, the clean girl aesthetic, but with a soul or something like that. So I had to look up the clean girl aesthetic because I was like, I don't know what this is. And I don't think I was alone in the people following the prompts. But I found out it's basically the opposite of me. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to do this one. And then I thought, what about if I try and do it and hate it and transform into my real self, which is all soul, no clean. I'm definitely clean. Love a shower, me. But the clean girl aesthetic is very devoid of personality in my eye. Just looking at, like, if you search that phrase, what comes back to you is definitely no color, definitely no prints. So I would say it's more about looking very chic and like you haven't tried, which I like to look like I've tried, to be honest. I'm like, yeah, I tried. I spent hours making this. I tried. Look at me, please. But yes, so that one, I was very pleased with the solution that I found for that one. Because at first, that was one of the prompts that I went, oh, I'll just skip that. And then I thought, well, but maybe, I don't know. So yeah, very, very pleased with that one. And yeah, it just got my brain working in lateral ways. These prompts got me thinking in different ways, which I really liked. And again, it was a good distraction from what was not the best of months for me. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it really helped me. And I hope that this is something that happens again in the future, although I do really feel for Alice because it's a lot of prompts to write, 31 prompts, and they were all so incredibly good and witty. And yeah, I think it's a lot of work. So I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't happen in, next year, but who knows? Even if it was just a one-off this year, I absolutely loved it. It came at the right time. It inspired me. It got me playing with my wardrobe so much. It got me playing with my acting, which I've mentioned that I have a background in theatre. It's all I wanted to do for the first half of my life, more than that, the majority of my life. And so to get to do my little scenes, one of my absolute favorites was the dress like the quirky side character in a rom-com set in a bookshop. Now, that one instantly made me think of my heart's hetty dress with the matching beret. I thought perfect for the rom-com. And then I just got, I started filming. And then I walked back inside because I filmed in our little patio at the back. I walked past Pat and I just went, I need props, very dramatically. He laughed so hard. He's like, did you hear yourself? I was like, yes, but I do. And I came back with a stack of books. I was like, this is right. This is right now. And then I did a pretend fall over because, you've got to have the physical comedy in rom-coms, especially if you're the quirky side character. That just made me smile. Like filming that and editing that, I was just like, I'm such a geek, but I was like, like, this is funny, this is great. And I think it made a few of you out there smile as well. So that's all I can ask for, honestly, to bring a smile to people's faces on maybe not a great day. If I can make you smile, if I can bring you a bit of color, I honestly have done what I've set out to do with these vlogs and with my Instagram feed. So yes, I'm gonna leave it there before I get emotional again. But to recap, the Quinn vest is fantastic. Go and make it. Me Made May, but Make It Weird improved my month of May incredibly. And the clothes you wear can change how you feel. So go and put on something you love, even better if you've made it yourself. And until I see you next time, keep making and keep chatting about making. Bye. Thanks for watching. Right, what is it? What are you? Not on the beautiful vest. What's your thoughts? And this is right. He wanted to come up here and be noisy up here. Look, no, quiet.